A lot of people may know me from a show called 106 and Park. I was on 106 and Park for about 4 or 5 years in New York as the main DJ. And, I've got a lot of chances to be around a lot of people in the industry, work with a lot of big names, things like that. So, me and my wife are actually doing a press run. We were just on a reality show, and we did, things like, I would say, like, the Breakfast Club. We had a big interview with them, doing a lot of things for, like, People TV, and coming from that in 2019 and going into 2020 and the pandemic hitting, it was a big change, and kind of halted everything we were doing. So I guess to kind of speed up, we were introduced to an opportunity from a friend of ours, and it was basically, given to us as what's called a blessing community. My wife, and you know what, I'll let my wife talk and her, her side, and kind of pick up from there.
Yeah, okay, so we get back home, and a really good friend of mine, we have been friends for probably over 10 years, so somebody that I really trusted. She came to me and she introduced me to an opportunity. She's a very smart person, I was educated, has always earned a very high income herself. She gave me an opportunity. She was like, hey, I've joined this blessing community. Have you ever heard of the studio? And I was like, no. So she invited me to her group. I looked at it. I was kind of busy with a couple other things on that particular day, so I didn't pay her any attention. I think she came back and recontacted me 1 or 2 times later, so I finally joined. I started talking to my husband about it, and he was like, busy himself. So I joined, and it worked for me. I was kind of skeptical about it because I had never seen it before. But the more I started researching, looking into it, it was like, there's lots of different communities, ethnicities, I guess I should say, and cultures that do these, and they all carry different names. Some call them Susu, sometimes Andy, different types of names. So I joined. It worked for me. My husband joined. We had a couple of our family and friends join. So we joined her group. That particular group was some group out of Houston. It had gotten really big.
You have 1 minute left.
Time, but once the group gets so big, you have to break off. So that group broke off, and when it broke off, my friend took me with her, and some of her people, they started their own group. Well, we had invited so many people that eventually we branched off and started our own group. And we pretty much just took everything that they had taught us, and we just wanted to say, how can we take this and make it bigger and better, and to where the groups don't have to break off, and we can stay together and build a community, which is ultimately what we did. It helped a lot of people. But, as you know, our people sometimes get into each other's way, and sometimes we can have a crabs in a barrel mentality, and eventually our group is.
The caller has hung up.
I think that's my husband. I was called back with, incarcerated. Throughout that time, we tried to develop software. One of the guys that we developed the software with did not give us the best advice. And ultimately, what ended up happening is by the end of our group, we had a couple of individuals come together, conspire, put together.
Hold on 1 second.
This is a prepaid collect call from...
I can edit this part out too.
Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Okay, Shonda, you're gonna have to go back the last 2 minutes of what you said. We had to get Dre back on.
No, I can edit that out.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
About the software guy and what he the advice he was giving y'all.
yeah, so we had a guy that just helped us he already had his own company, and we paid him for him to develop a software for us. After him developing that software, he came to us with an idea. Hey, I already have this software going. I want to take y'all's idea, put it inside of my company, and let's go with it. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. So we've done that. And ultimately, by the end of everything, a lot of the promises that he made us, a lot of things that he told us was supposed to happen, it didn't. But at that particular time, our group had gotten so big. At the beginning of having our own group, it wasn't enough room for us to have the volume of people that we had. And ultimately, we just ended up kind of tumbling underneath our own weight. So let's try to speed it up a little bit into where we are now. We ended up getting a lawsuit from the Texas Attorney General's office because we had an individual who is a federal probation officer for the Eastern District of Louisiana. She impersonated an FBI agent, and she created a Facebook page. And then she created a page on this app called Dance, which is kind of like Facebook, and she told people, go complain against the board. They stole our money. They took our money. They scammed us. They tricked us. And this is what you need to say. Go report this to the Texas Attorney General, Arkansas Attorney General, STC. And she said FBI, but those three agencies came and hit us with lawsuits. So June of 2021, we get a lawsuit from the Texas Attorney General's office. Maybe 4 or 5 days later, we get hit with a second lawsuit where the Arkansas Attorney General and the FCC teamed up together. So we fought that for years. Ultimately, after just running out of money to continue to pay lawyer after lawyer after lawyer after lawyer, we decided, let's just settle it. Settle it means like we'll pay something. We don't assume any type of guilt. It seems like no matter what truth we gave to them, no matter what evidence was being provided to them, they insisted on saying that we conspired and plotted and intended and planned to scam 8,000 people. Me and my husband got together and created purposely and intentionally to scam and get over on our own people during the pandemic. And the thing is, there were so many different groups that, were going on. Some were successful, some are still going on to this day successfully, and some of them weren't. We had different ideas about how do you keep it going, how do you make it work. We were learning as we went. A lot of what we were trying to accomplish was uncharted territory. I feel like by the time we finally had things figured out on how to ultimately keep it going and make it work, so much damage had happened and so much fallout had taken place. It was like we just crumbled, under our own weight. So now we're in a situation where we've had a lawsuit civilly with, major government entities. We thought that this was over. It literally swallowed our life, swallowed our marriage, swallowed us being parents, being friends. We lost friendships. People that stood beside us for a little while couldn't take the public scrutiny or no longer wanted to be associated to it. So it's been a lot. So we fast forward to settling the civil side. Then all of a sudden, we get hit with an indictment. This time, me and my husband got pregnant. Just found out we were pregnant with our son. We had been pregnant maybe a month and a half, and I get indicted. My husband gets indicted. We try to push forward. We're thinking if we play things fair, if we do things the right way, justice will be served. If we give them the evidence, all the things that we gave to the civil attorney that we never got to have our day in court with, the truth is going to set us free. That's what the Bible says, right? Like, the truth.
You have 1 minute left.
They don't care about what the truth is. I'm going to have to hang up the call right back, and I'll let my husband kind of pick up here. I'll tap back in.
Got it. So
The caller has hung up.
Like she says, truth should set you free, but we're noticing now that the truth is not, to them, that's not what matters. They don't operate in truth. The government doesn't operate in truth. The government just wants a conviction out of the situation. truth is. They want to, I guess to pick up where she left off, we ended up getting indicted November 2023. Once we got indicted November 2023,
she's calling back.
Did with
Hello.
more lawyers involved.
An incarcerated individual at Fannin County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
All right.
So once we got indicted, we had to get lawyers involved, criminal lawyers involved this time. And, as the probably one mostly knows, when you get criminal lawyers involved, it's not necessarily, hey, how can we help you get this, out the situation, or how can we, get to understanding to where, we get you free from the situation. Most criminal attorneys are plea simple. They want you to tell you anything. They can tell you just for one to get your money, and then after they get your money, they want to see what's the fastest way they can get you to plea. We at that time were so extended, from fighting the civil case. We said, hey, we don't have the money to get attorneys anymore, so I'm gonna have to go with a court-appointed attorney. We ended up scrounging some money up, and we ended up getting my wife an attorney for her. And so, we said, hey, well, she can work, if she's going to work for her, technically anything she's going to do is going to work for me. So at least we have one paid attorney and a court-appointed attorney. My court-appointed attorney, basically from, trying to talk to him, make appointments with him, I wasn't getting any answers. I was calling, no response, leaving messages, emails, no response. And basically, maybe 6 or 7 months after the indictment was when I, really first had a conversation with him. And he blatantly told me outright, hey, man, this case is too complex for me. I really don't have the time to deal with it. I don't have any paralegal, and this is the court-appointed attorney that the government has given me to fight, this, giant of a case. So already from that point on, I was dealt at a disadvantage. From there, we tried to go their way, try to go their route, and and participate with, basically go along with what they were saying we needed to do. Yep. So then we were put on probation, and from that point on, we had a probation officer, having to check in with the probation officer, things like that. And after that, we basically just said, what? This is a lot. We're not getting the help we need. And he basically told us they came with a plea deal, and the plea deal was, 0 to 10. They're gonna drop. Together they had a total of 9 counts. Conspiracy to wire fraud, and money laundering. They said, well, you know what? If you guys take a plea deal, we'll only focus on the last count, which is money laundering, and we'll give you a plea deal for 0 to 10. So the prospect you can get 0 months, and we can work something out, or we can go all the way to the 10 years. So us not having any criminal record, not having any criminal history, we considered it. And versus what they said that if we took this to trial, technically they can go anywhere from 30 years to life. And are you there?
I think one thing, yeah, can you hear me? I think one thing that we need to put into consideration prior to us hiring prior to us getting a hired attorney for me, I also had a public defender. So there's a difference between getting a public defender. I think this is something that the general public should know. There's a difference when you don't have money to get an attorney. The judge can give you a public defender, or he can give you what's called a hired attorney. Those are two different things. Public defender comes from the public defender's office. They work directly with I call them public offenders, really. But you can also get a hired attorney. These are attorneys who have their own private practices, and they're also paid by the court to take a couple of cases a year. Say that you are likely to get better representation if you get a hired attorney. And the reason that they gave my husband a hired attorney and gave me a public defender, this is what we were told, is because the public defenders work out of the same office. They didn't want two public defenders, public offenders, what I call them, out of the same office. So if they gave me a public defender, they didn't want to give my husband a public defender because it would have been out of the same office. They needed that attorney to be independent. So my husband's original public attorney was a hired attorney that the government will still pay for. So anyone that's ever given a court-appointed attorney, just make sure that you ask, are you a public defender or are you a court-appointed attorney? Because there's a little bit of a difference. They ultimately can get the same resources and stuff, but public defenders, I can't think of too many of them who've ever been to court. The original public defender that I had, threw it in my face how I was told, you're guilty, this was that. He never one time took evidence from me, still to this day. He never heard my side of things. Hey, look, this is the offer that's on the table, and these are the reasons why. Not that you should take it, but you're going to take it. I remember having a conversation with him. I had my dad on the phone because he was very, very aggressive with me whenever I was talking. My dad asked him, how many cases have you taken to court? He said he's been a public defender for 20 or 21 years. In 2 decades, he had only taken 2 cases to trial, and he lost both of them. So when you hear people throw out numbers about how the feds have a 98, 97% conviction rate, that's because everyone takes a plea. And some of the things that I have personally experienced being in here has made me change my mind about people. When I hear, if the feds got them, they must have done it. If the feds said this, I have got to hear the stories of so many people, and I've got to see and feel, injustices that have been put on me. And I'm also watching it happen. And I'm not going to lie, some of the women in here did do some or a little bit of what they were brought in here for, but then the feds are allowed to exaggerate and make up and create extra things so that they can just secure a conviction rate. And it's just not fair. My husband and I tried to fight. We got an offer on the table. I get a hired attorney who, she has this big time reputation. She tells me, this is the price if you take a plea. This is the price if, you want to go to trial and you want to fight it. So she made me pay the price as though we were going to trial, and then turned around and helped the prosecutor coerce me into signing a plea. So my husband and I have always been set on we're fighting this in trial because we're just not going to sign for something that we didn't do. We end up getting a email on a Sunday. My husband gets one from his first public offender, and they're like, the government is offering you this deal. They end up talking on Monday, and they pretty much tell my husband, you have a couple of days to sign this, and if you don't sign it,
you have 1 minute left.
We're going to give your wife additional charges, and we're going to come put her in jail right now because it's going to be a violation of her probation. So my husband and I, the entire time that we were fighting our federal case, we got to be out. We weren't in jail. Like most of them here, as soon as they got indicted, they came to jail.
The caller has hung up.
So y'all,
I
got a question. I want to ask him a question from me. So they will put on probation first, or this for a separate case?
No, this is probation for indictment. So when you get indicted, if you're one of what they call the court told us in our faces after they finally arrested them, we were arrested.
He's calling. Hold on. He's calling.
All right.
Hello.
So fight your indictment.
Hold on.
An incarcerated individual at Fannin County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so I know that sounds crazy. It was crazy to us too. We had never heard it. When we first got indicted and we heard we got to go in for arraignment. I lost my marbles. I said, so they're going to arrest me when I go into the arraignment. But, you know, the attorney that we had initially, he told us, no, they're not going to arrest you, da-da-da-da-da. So we get arraigned. And when you're arraigned and they decide, hey, we're going to let you fight this, but you're going to fight it in the free world, you still have to be given a probation officer. You are on restriction for where you can travel to. They made us submit our passport. We have to check in every month at the beginning of the month. We have to submit to drug tests as they want. But keep in mind, I haven't pled guilty. I haven't been found guilty of anything, and you still have a freaking probation officer. There's a little circumference area that they gave us where we're allowed to travel if we wanted to travel outside of that. Like, I'm originally from Arkansas. My husband was born and raised in Louisiana, so we have a lot of family and friends in that area. My grandfather passed away. We went home for a holiday. I had to call and ask my probation officer, was it okay for me to go home for certain things while I was indicted?
Oh, yeah. They definitely play different.
Calling my husband and telling my husband because I got indicted, I think it was December of 2023. And at that time, I had just gotten hired at an insurance company. I've been an insurance adjuster for like over 10 years. And I lied on my background to the insurance company because who's going to hire me with, you know, an indictment? I still wanted to continue to be able to provide for my family. I've always, you know, been an entrepreneur. I've always worked in corporate America, but everything about this case, it hinders you. It's like they cripple you putting this on your background. And I haven't been found guilty of anything. I haven't even taken a plea.
They asked about, I thought it was about convictions.
Give your wife additional charges for lying on her background if y'all don't sign this plea. So we got scared. We were like, well, but here's the other fancy thing that they did in our plea. They said, hey, we're going to put in y'all's plea that if you end up serving time, y'all don't have to serve it together. So we were like, let's just sign the plea to buy us some more time until you figure something out. So we signed the plea. Sandra, who I'm I don't know if she's had an opportunity to tell how we met her, but Sandra was very instrumental. Like, from the very first day that I met her, we've got to figure out how to get the truth out, how to fight. Like, y'all did not do what they said you did. She would know because she was, you know, an individual who was a part of this group. I did not know her. I'm not related to her. I was not friends with her. But she was a spiritual warrior fighting for me the entire time. We ended up getting introduced to someone who told us the truth about the law being private and public, about things that are done behind closed doors, how the judges work, how the court system really works. Once we found that out, we started filing our paperwork on what, you know, should be taking place. And still to this day, they tell us that it's fiction, it's novelty, it's not true. If this were true, everybody would be out of jail. We filed paperwork, and our probation officer demanded that we talk to him about the paperwork. And we were like, you're our probation officer, but that's above your authority. You're not allowed to force us to talk to you about what we filed, because he ended up getting a copy of the paperwork. So he asked us to come in for a meeting to talk about the paperwork. And we were like, you're not asking me for a drug test. You're not asking me about something that's in your compass. We did not feel like that was just for him to do, so we didn't take the meeting. And because we did not take that meeting, next thing we know, maybe a week later, we're at home because we both work from home. We're sitting. We hear a bump, bump, bump at the door. My husband's on his way to walk toward the door. He's walking to the door to open the door. Miss Marshall have our entire house, neighborhood, I think it was like 19 cars. They had a drone on us. They were in the front, back, sides of the house. They kicked down our door. We literally locked out. They never entered our home. NFL star Eugene Lockhart just happens to be at our house the day that this happened, fortunately, so CPS did not have to get involved to take our son.
You have 1 minute left.
Eugene Lockhart, and they detained us, and we've been locked up ever since.
Wow. Well, the only silver lining I see in this right now is you definitely get out on appeal. I hear too many conflict of interests and too many mistakes, in my opinion.
The caller has hung up.
She's gonna call back.
For sure. I agree. There's so many things that we filed. There's so many complaints that we made. We made complaints with the Texas Judicial Committee. We keep on making sure that we force and make sure we put on record that we don't consent to any judicial contracts. We don't consent to any forced representation. We don't consent to, any participation. And they just go around those things like it doesn't matter.
She calling. Sorry.
Hello, this is from
She calling.
an incarcerated individual at Fannin County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Once we, got with a friend, I'm not sure, Sandra, if you want to say his name or if he cares to be mentioned, but, once we learned the truth about how the difference between what's legal and what's lawful. Yep. And, that's what a lot of people don't understand. The feds and the government, they operate off of foreign copyright law, and that is not constitutional. They operate as an entity, as a business. The U.S. government is a corporation, and the headquarters are in Washington, D.C. And, when you go into court and they have an indictment and their paperwork has all caps, your name in all caps, everyone that goes into the courtroom, they're at a disadvantage because when they call you in the court, they're not really calling you. They're calling you your de facto. It's your legal fiction. That's why your name is in all caps. And they when they ask you to identify yourself in court, and they ask you, are you this person that's listed on this indictment? And you say yes, you're contracting. You're agreeing to being that legal fiction, that fake person, that de facto. And so those are things that we simply didn't know. But when we did find the truth, we had a good friend that helped us and guided us through, this is what you guys need to do. We need to, first of all, we need to file our affidavit. So we need to make sure that, we file all rights. We need to reserve all our rights. Also, we filed our rescission of contract affidavits to make sure that any contracts that we have signed, anything that we agreed to that we didn't know under them not telling us a full disclosure, that we were able to take back all our signatures. What we did. And how the government plays, that's exactly what we did. We took back all our signatures. And still to this day, we have affidavits on file that have not been contested or responded to. In fact, not only have they not responded to them, they've actually gone so far as to hide and delete them from the record. So you could go to the docket and you'll see numbers like, I don't know, just an example, 49, 50, 51. So 52 is blank, 53 is blank, 54 is blank, and then it just picks back up at 55. And those are the affidavits that they're trying to hide from the record to make sure no one sees them. So there's just a lot of corruption that's been going on in this process. And, we've been standing strong on our affidavits, making sure that we don't move off those affidavits. Still to this day, we still don't consent to contract. We still don't consent to forced representation. And we don't consent to a pro se classification. And they still have now forced an attorney onto us. And as of right now, tomorrow we start trial.
Yeah, I heard. So how many people? How many people out of the thousands wrote affidavits in y'all favor?
Did y'all hear the question?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
How many affidavits do y'all have in y'all favor from some of the people that have signed up to the group?
Oh man, it's countless. I'm sure there's maybe more than 100, 200 people that have filed affidavits in our favor as well. So, were filed that were against us, we never had a chance to respond to any of those affidavits. They never gave us a chance to respond to any of those affidavits. And since then we've been fighting. Now we have to go all the way back to the civil side because there were so many things that were done on the civil side to set us up for this that were unconstitutional. When we got served civilly, the attorney we had never told us that we need to appeal and we need a countersuit. But that's not what their job is. Their job is to work with the government. Their job is to basically line their own pockets and make sure we don't tell them exactly all the information we need to know.
Yeah.
The affidavits that we filed, not only have they been put under record or under docket with the district court that's coming to discuss. So we have them filed in federal court here. We've also sent these to the Texas Secretary of State, United States Secretary, Department of Justice. We sent stuff to the Supreme Court. Every government entity, all of the different affidavits that we put on file with the federal court, we've also sent all of these to other entities.
All right.
Multiple other entities.
Okay.
We put everyone on notice. Something else that's funny about our case, everybody that I've ever spoken to has been indicted. Even most of the women that I've talked to here, I think one of the other details that I forgot to mention, prior to us being indicted, we get a phone call from our civil attorney telling us that the feds had contacted them saying, we're going to indict y'all in 6 weeks. We're going to give y'all 10 days to decide whether you want to come sit down and have a conversation with us, and we can do what's called a pre-indictment plea. If you decide not to do the pre-indictment plea, then we're going to just indict you. We always had a criminal attorney. His name was Michael Todd on standby. So our civil attorney contacted our criminal attorney, and we're all on the phone. And they counseled us and pretty much told us, like, y'all should go sit down and go talk to me. And the thing that's weird to me, I've never seen the Fed contact someone and say, hey, we're going to indict you in 6 weeks. We just want you to come talk to us. Well, talk to us about what? Most people don't know that the Fed is going to indict them until they've been indicted. So it was kind of weird to us. And the advice that we got was, I don't think that it's a good idea for y'all to go sit and talk to them. And even if you do talk to them, it would not be beneficial for me to consult you and tell you to take a pre-indictment plea. Why would I have you take a pre-indictment plea and you don't even know what evidence they have against you? Until they indict you, you don't have the right to make them give you all of your discovery. The only way they legally have to give you all of their discovery is if you're indicted. So we knew that we were getting indicted before we got indicted because they contacted us and told us, we're going to talk to y'all. And y'all got 10 days to decide that you want to come talk to us. If you come talk to us, then we'll just do a pre-indictment fee. We'll never have 1 minute left. You just take whatever that is. But if you choose not to talk to us, and the caller has hung up. Then we're going to indict you.
We can cut her part right there.
Huh?
I say, who phone hung up?
That was Dre.
Oh, that was Dre? Okay.
Yeah.
So tell the audience what information you trying to get out, and where can they support you tomorrow for trial?
Hold on 1 second. Dre's calling.
Hello. An incarcerated individual at Fannin County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Great.
Hey, he just asked us a really important question. He said, what are some of the main things that we want to get out, and how can people support us tomorrow with the start of our trial? I'll let you go first since you're here now.
That's a good question, Mike. Thanks for asking that. I think for one, just take notes, be aware. They're doing a lot of things that they know that they cannot do. And so, I would just say, drive awareness to our situation, drive awareness to our, this trial. Share it on your social media. Let everyone know that, what they're doing is wrong. Let everyone know that, we are in a situation to where we did never, ever intended to defraud, to take, to, do anything malicious to hurt anyone, to make sure that everyone, was in a situation where we thought we were helping. One thing to also know about this is that if we were going to defraud people, if we had intentions to defraud people, we would have tried to run, disappear. We would have, not stayed around to try to fix the situation. So I think that's really big to know in this situation. We tried multiple ways to try to fix this and to try to make sure that people were made whole.
From my understanding, y'all tried to rectify Dre. Y'all also tried to rectify a few accounts, right? Try to make it right with people.
Correct. Yeah, we made so many refunds. We made sure people were made whole. We tried to do a restart to where we could get everyone that had not been blessed out. We were doing a restart to make sure all those people were going to get blessed out in one cycle. At that time, when we were about to restart, then we got hit with the connectivity with the guy who built our software. He locked us out. We also had other people in the community leaving, starting their own community, running coups to, try to, put people against us and things like that. So, we, like I said, we stood, 10 toes down throughout the whole thing to make sure that tried to help and fix the situation. But, we're only two people. And it's hard to try to get people money back that we never received. So,
I got one more question for you.
It's impossible to do. You can't buy something from Walmart and then try to go back to Target to get a refund from Target for what you just purchased from Walmart. So it just doesn't work that way. So, we have tried, multiple ways to try to make people whole, but at the end of the day, we just have to, we're here now. So we're fighting from where we're at, and we're praying for the best outcome this week.
What's your question?
I got one more question for you. If it was anything you could do different, what would that be in this instance, in this situation?
Anything I would do different, I go back and forth with this question a lot. For one, it would be more research on what we were getting into before we got into it. To really learn the ins and outs and how these things work, and really diving deep into this system, because that's one thing I just think we did not understand. We were, like you said, thrown into it, at the time, and by the time we were in it, it was too late.
And it was too big.
Definitely doing more research. Yeah, it was too big. So, doing more research, moving forward, any business deals, anything that comes my way, anything that someone approaches me with, just doing more research to due diligence to learn and really, dive deep into what I'm getting involved with before I accept anything. So I think that's probably my main thing that I feel like I have 1 minute left.
Say, man, I think that was a great broadcast. I'm gonna help get y'all story out, bro. I'm gonna do what I can, and y'all just keep y'all heads over. I'm praying for y'all. I'm definitely gonna get this out to my audience on all platforms. And if it's anybody y'all in y'all personal life y'all want to shout them out too. Anybody that's been helping you throughout this trying time, here's your time to give them a shout out.
The caller has hung up.
We definitely gotta give a big shout out to Sandra and Cornelius. They have been a lifeline. They have been angels, sent from above for helping us out through all this. We got to give a shout out to Tran the man out there, for everything that he does. Definitely want to send a big shout out to Sam for helping us with the truth. We also, man, just our family that has been there through us, through this time.
Hold on.
Hello.
Away.
Call from an incarcerated individual at Fannin County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges,
thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
I want to give a shout out to our family that's been helping out while we were away, taking care of the kids. Also, our kids love y'all. We miss y'all. We hope to see you guys soon. We hope to be home soon. And I just know mommy and daddy were fighting hard. So, also shout out to our parents for sticking and stepping in when needed. So, but you want to give your shout out to people who've been helping along the way.
I think the first shout out that I would have to give would be to the Most High, because let me tell y'all, the wind has been knocked out too many times for me not to exalt him first and foremost. I definitely think that everyone my husband just listed, of course, our parents. I think that it would be an understatement not to acknowledge Sandra and her husband, Cornelius. The opportunity will present itself for us to tell that story of how we met and everything that they have done. I definitely feel like they should, take some spotlight. I also want to give a shout out to Sam. Regardless of what everybody wants to say, that's our boy. He has a huge, huge part of why we're able to even go to court tomorrow at night versus rolling over and taking what they originally tried to give us. I do know that my sisters and my brothers know how much I love them and I miss them. Of course, my daughters, how much I love and miss them. And we will be home soon. Not hopefully, but we will.
Yes,
indeed.
Right. And that's the Moors, my people. Nice to meet y'all. And we're going to get this thing going. And good luck tomorrow. What they doing tomorrow? Jury selection, or y'all actually starting opening statements?
Jury
selection.
Tomorrow's
Thank
jury.
Thank you for having us, Mike. We appreciate it, man. And God bless you, man. We know God.
He asked about tomorrow, y'all. What's going on tomorrow at the court?
Tomorrow we have first day of trial, so there will be a jury selection early in the morning. Then after the jury selection, I believe 10 o'clock or 10:30, that is when the trial first starts. So opening arguments will begin.
All right, that's a bet, man. Well, good luck with everything tomorrow, man. And I'm going to get this blasted out today.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you.
No problem, man. No
Thank
problem.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's another episode of WDH TV, and we out.